The movie begins in 1933, during the Great Depression in New York City, and Darrow, a struggling vaudevillian actress, performs in front of an audience. She talks to Manny, her friend and fellow actor, in the dressing room. She tells him their struggling situation will improve, and they go to a soup kitchen to get dinner. The following day, Anne goes to the theater and sees it closed. Manny tells her he is returning to Chicago and apologizes for letting her down. Anne meets Mr. Weston, and he asks her for a chance to get into a movie he's directing. He tells her that someone else has taken the role. Weston gives her a card and says she should meet a man for a small role that'll give her money. Meanwhile, a film director named Carl Denham talks to his investors and asks them to sponsor his trip to an unexplored island. They ask him to leave the room as they discuss, and he overhears them agreeing to scrap his picture. Denham and his personal assistant Preston leave the building and rush into a taxi as the investors search for him. Preston informs him that the lead actress pulled out of the movie. Denham instructs Preston to call Jack Driscoll while he searches for a lead actress. He walks on through the streets and sees Anne. Denham takes Anne to a restaurant and tells her he is a movie producer. He tries convincing her to be in his film, but she refuses. He tells her that Jack Driscoll is writing the script, and she gets interested. Later, Anne and Denham are at the seaport and walk to Captain Englehorn's ship, the Venture. Preston informs him that the police are on their way to arrest him, and he urges Englehorn to prepare the ship for departure. They board the ship, and Denham talks to Jack. Jack gives him a piece of the play, but Denham isn't satisfied. He stalls Jack as the ship is about to depart, and as Jack leaves the room, he realizes that the ship has departed, and he has to accompany the crew. The following day, Jack uses an animal cage as his room and continues writing the play. Anne walks to Denham, and he introduces her to the crew. She mistakes Mike, Denham's sound man, as Jack. Jack walks to her and introduces himself. Jack talks to Denham as he writes the play and tells him about the island they're filming. Denham says the island is undiscovered, and Jimmy overhears their conversation. Later, Denham begins filming his play while Jack watches and gets attracted to Anne. Denham talks to Englehorn that night and convinces him to move southwest. Englehorn says there's nothing in that direction, but Denham says he'll pay him well. Hayes, Lumpy, and Jimmy walk to Denham and ask him why they're going southwest. He tells them he's searching for Skull Island, and Lumpy informs him there's a story of a monster living behind a wall on the island. Hayes tells him they won't survive if they get on the island. Days pass as the Venture sails in the middle of the ocean. Jack talks to Anne and tells her he is writing a play for her. He walks to her as they talk and kisses her. Meanwhile, Englehorn gets a message that the police want Denham. Denham tries to convince him to continue the journey, but Englehorn refuses. Jack walks out and talks to Denham. They look at the map and see a strange island shaped like a skull. The ship suddenly enters a strange fog and the compass malfunctions. Giant rocks emerge from the fog, and Englehorn tries maneuvering past them. The ship eventually gets stuck to a large rock, and they see the giant wall from Hayes' story. Englehorn and Hayes struggle to get the ship fixed, and Jimmy informs them that Denham and the others have taken a boat to the island. Denham, Anne, Jack, and the rest of the crew walk on the island and arrive at a strange gate. They see a strange girl, and Denham tries to give her chocolate. The girl runs from him and reveals that there are several people on the island. A man throws a spear at Mike and kills him. The strange people emerge and kill some members of the crew. Englehorn and his men arrive as the locals are about to kill Denham. They save them and return to the ship, and the crew members free the ship from the rock. The locals make sneak onto the ship and abduct Anne. Jack sees a piece of their jewelry and realizes that the locals have kidnapped Anne. He rushes to Englehorn and informs him of what happened. The locals take Anne to their island and offer her as a sacrifice to the monster outside the walls. Jack and the others take some weapons and make their way to the island to save Anne. They arrive on the island, but are too late because Kong, a giant ape, has taken Anne into the island with him. Jack, Denham, Hayes, and other men enter the island to save Anne. Kong runs through the forest with Anne as she screams. Jack and the others arrive at a field of bones and realize that Kong passed through. They follow his trail into the forest, and Jack sees a giant footprint. Denham walks to some dinosaurs with Bruce and begins filming them. The herd of Brontosaurus gets startled by a pack of Utahraptors and begins running away. Denham and Bruce run to the others, and they all begin running. Some group members get killed in the stampede, and Jimmy narrowly survives falling off a cliff. Bruce shoots at the Utahraptors and accidentally makes the dinosaurs fall as they run. Jack and the others run up a hill, but Herb gets eaten by the Utahraptors. Meanwhile, while Kong drops her on the floor, Anne pretends to be dead. Jack and the others arrive at a swamp and Bruce decides to return to the ship. He takes some of the men while Jack and the others use wood to form boats. Anne tries to run away, but Kong gets to her. She realizes that he enjoys her dancing and juggling. Kong begins laughing as he intentionally pushes Anne to the floor. He begins to throw a tantrum as she refuses to fall, and Kong walks away. Anne sees him move away and runs into the forest. They walk into the woods and reach a large tree that serves as a bridge. Hayes walks into a cave across the bridge and instructs Jimmy to run if anything happens. Kong emerges from the cave as Hayes shoots him, and he grabs Hayes. He throws Hayes at a rock, and he falls to his death. Kong fights Jack and the others and throws them into a ravine. Anne runs through the woods and sees a lizard-like monster eating a carcass. It chases her as she hides in a tree, but it gets killed by a larger monster. Anne leaves the tree log as some insects crawl to her. She sees a T-Rex and it pursues her through the forest. She escapes, but gets attacked by a second T-Rex. Kong saves her from the T-Rex and a third emerges. A fight ensues and Kong kills the first by crushing its head. He falls off a cliff with the others, and they get tangled in some vines. Anne escapes the vines and runs as a T-Rex chases her. Kong jumps beside her and protects her from the T-Rex. It rushes to him, but he grabs its mouth and breaks its jaw, killing it. Anne rushes to Kong, and he places her on his back as he runs through the forest. Jack wakes up in the ravine, and they see that more men are dead. Denham's camera destroys from the fall, and Jimmy cries as he mourns Hayes' death. Strange creatures emerge as a flare turns off and attack the men. They fight the creatures, but Lumpy and some others get killed. Englehorn, Bruce, and others arrive and kill the creatures as they save Jack and the survivors. Jimmy takes Hayes' hat and climbs the rope. Meanwhile, Kong takes Anne to his home, and Anne sees that he is sad. She tries to cheer him up as they watch the sunset. Jack emerges at the other side of the ravine and says he will save Anne. Denham says that Jack will save Anne, and Kong will chase them. He talks to Englehorn and suggests they capture Kong with the ship's chloroform. Jack runs into the forest and arrives at a cliff. Anne falls asleep as Kong holds her. Jack enters Kong's home and sees some giant bats on the roof. He quietly goes to Anne as Kong sleeps and wakes her up. Anne sees Jack, and as she tries to get to him, Kong wakes up. Kong gets angry and Anne tells Jack to run away. The giant bats emerge from the cave and attack Kong as he tries to hit Jack. Kong places Anne in a cave as he fights the bats, and Jack gets to her. She climbs Jack's back as he goes down a vine, but Kong gets to them. Jack grabs a giant bat, and it flies away and drops him in a river. Kong roars angrily, and the men at the giant wall hear him. Jack and Anne run to the bridge and scream for help. Denham stalls in opening the gate, and Preston rushes to cut the rope holding it. The rope cuts his face as the gate drops, and Anne and Jack run through the gate. Kong emerges, and Anne realizes that Denham plans on capturing Kong. Kong bursts through the gate, and the men apprehend him with ropes. They try to subdue him with a chloroform, but he gets angry as he sees Jack taking Anna away. Kong breaks free from the restraints and pursues Jack and the others as they run to the ship. He gets to them as they get on their boats and destroy one of the boats. Englehorn shoots Kong with a harpoon and slows him down. Denham emerges from the water with a bottle of chloroform and breaks it on Kong's face. The chloroform affects Kong and subdues him. Denham says they're millionaires and calls Kong the world's 8th wonder. In New York City, Denham welcomes multiple guests that are present to see Kong. Jack watches a play he wrote for Anne and realizes he loves her. Denham walks on the stage as the audience cheer him. He reveals Kong to the audience and says Bruce is the man who risked his life to capture Kong. Jack arrives at the theatre and meets Preston. They watch some people perform on the stage and reenact the island locals sacrificing Anne. Kong sees a different woman and realizes she isn't Anne. Jack asks Preston where Anne is, and he tells her she refused to participate in the play. Kong gets agitated as some camera lights flash on him. Jack and Preston suggest the people evacuate the building, and Kong breaks free from the restraints. The people run away as Kong destroys the building and crushes some spectators. He sees Jack and tries to reach him, but Jack escapes. Kong breaks out of the theater and wreaks havoc on the city. He pursues Jack through the city, and Anne arrives as he's about to hit him. Kong carries her and walks away. They slide on some ice as they smile and have fun. The military attacks Kong and he runs through the city as he holds Anne. Kong gets to the Empire State Building and begins climbing to the top. He and Anne watch as the sun rises and 6 military planes arrive. They shoot at Kong, and he drops Anne as he climbs to the top. Anne climbs a ladder and tries to follow him. Kong takes down 3 of the planes, but is mortally wounded. Meanwhile, Jack pushes through the security and enters the building. Anne gets to Kong and begs the pilots to stop shooting. They fly past Kong and shoot his back. Kong holds Anne as he dies, and he falls off the building. Jack gets to Anne, and she hugs him. On the ground, journalists take pictures of Kong. DENHAM walks to Kong and tells a man that beauty killed the beast, not the airplanes. The end.